Mr. Chairman, and thanks for our witnesses for being here today. Really appreciate it. One key area that is holding the United States back from reaching its full potential for energy production is refining capacity. Last year, the Energy Information Administration estimated that North America lost over 1 million barrels of fuel per day in refining capacity in a 3-year period. While refining capacity has decreased, demand for energy has gone in the opposite direction. Our remaining refineries are struggling to keep up with this demand and are running at close to 95% of total capacity. And economists will tell you that the situation resulting in higher prices for the consumer. In my legislation, the Researching Efficient Federal Improvements for Necessary Energy Refining or Refiner Act will address this. If I could start with you, Secretary Menzies, how important is it for the federal government to drive the conversation towards increasing refining capacity in this country?
We do need a robust refining capacity here, simply so we don't have to import from any other country and we can provide our consumers with what we need. But the fact is that there hasn't been a new major refinery built, greenfield, since 1977. We've built some small refineries, but we have been closing
Sorry, would you
more
repeat that again? What was the date again for our major refinery?
1977, the last major greenfield oil production. I believe it was the Marathon refinery. Now, there have been some small refineries that have been built, typically on brownfield sites, but our industry has been ratcheting out the inefficiencies back from the 70s. And so we have been closing, we've been doing with what we can, but the permitting process essentially is too difficult to overcome. I believe we have North Dakota plant and a Utah plant that I think, have basically stalled out because of lack of permits. So we're making improvements with what we have had for many years, and that it operates at the 95% efficiency that you say does not leave much wiggle room for when the president wants us to increase refining, for example. We simply, don't have the facilities, or it'd be too costly for us to suddenly begin to take them out of mothball and to try to get them going again. So that's why we should look at this comprehensively to see what we can do to help, get a robust, clean, environmentally compliant refinery business.
And just follow up, what's the benefit going to be to the consumer? What's the benefit to the consumer?
Well, you'd have a ready supply of refined products.
Thank you very much. We've talked a little bit earlier today in regards to having a strong nuclear fuel security program, and I totally support it. And I also fully support our chair's legislation that would ban the importation of Russian uranium. And Mr. Chairman, I ask unanimous consent to place into the record 2 letters of support in favor of this bill, one from the Uranium Producers of America and the other from the organization ClearPath.
Without objection, so ordered.
Thank you very much. Ms. Sweeney, if I could switch gears real quickly and talk about your testimony, because interesting enough, just by chance, everybody saw the second page of the Wall Street Journal today. It's all about what? It's all about and what we're going to do about EVs and our batteries in this country. And it's a very interesting article, and I thought right apropos for where we are today. But in your this testimony that you presented today, you have that the lithium demand is going to increase by more than 40 times by 2040, followed by graphite, cobalt, and nickel at 20 to 25% in that time frame. Our automakers are warning that the coming battery shortage could stop the EV revolution in its tracks. And also in your testimony, you state that with over $6 trillion worth of mineral resources that we have right here in this country, it's right in our own backyard. But it goes right to a question then is on the permitting and the delays out there, because also in your testimony, you have your chart that shows that, we could be looking at anywhere from 7 to 10 years to get a production site up. And I've been to the only lithium facility that we have in this country out in Nevada. But you also state that unexpected permitting delays could reduce that mining project's value by more than a third. But do you also, when you think about all of these things, what are we going to do in this country, especially when we look to our friends to the north in Canada, that their permitting is taking 2 to 3 years, and here in this country it's taking 7 to 10. What can we do?
They have some efficiencies in Canada and Australia, which have very similar NEPA regulations and statute in place that do allow the permitting process to move a little bit faster. One of those is actually allowing the project proponent to prepare the environmental impact statement. The government then does a thorough review and make sure that, that meets all the standards, and they allow the opportunity for the public to comment on the NEPA project or the analysis, just like we do here. But the project proponent has the best information. They're on the ground right there. They know what's happening on the ground. They've got the data in front of them, and they have the incentive to move more quickly, and they're only focusing on one project at a time. When the government has to do it, they're looking at a lot of different projects, and it's just a matter of getting the resources to the project. That's part of the delays. Another process that works
Excuse me,
better.
I'm afraid my time has expired, but I would ask if you could put that in writing, and I'll address that to you then. Thank